I'm a fan of my own theme music. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very special episode of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets. This is episode 7, by the way, of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets. As I stated in at the end of last week, 2 weeks ago, I'm at episode 6. I said episode 7 was going to be very special. First things first, um, condolences to the family of the immortal Hulk Hogan. Um, this week, as far as dirt sheet reports go, a lot of the reports have been revolved around his death. Also, they've been revolved around the release of WWE Unreal, which was released on Netflix today. And also, a lot of the reports are in regards to this build towards SummerSlam weekend. So because there's been a lot going on in the wrestling world today, I didn't actually get a chance to take a look at the bullshit to actually call it out. I didn't get a chance to go through any reports, But on top of that, like I stated, in the wrestling world, there's just a lot of buzz, and unfortunately for the death of Hulk Hogan, a lot of somber news as well. But we're still here. I'm still out here, and we're gonna keep moving forward with this very special episode of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets this week. I wanted to do something unique. I wanted to do something different. I kind of wanted to do something within that's kind of within the realm of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets, within the feeling of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets around these Dirt Sheet writers. Over the years, since I've been reading dirt sheet reports, there are always those reports that stick out in your mind from the past that kind of make you think, what the fuck were they thinking at the time when they were reporting? Like, what the fuck were they thinking, or who the fuck were they talking to come up with some of these stories and reports about what's going on in the wrestling world? So it kind of made me think. It made me go back. It made me want to go research what were the top 5 dirt sheet predictions made by reporters that never ever happened. So that's what we're going to do on this episode of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets. We're going to go back. We're going to go back, and I've made a list, of my opinion, of the top 5 dirt sheet predictions / reports that actually never ever happened. So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to kick it off with this report. From 2022, the report of Shane McMahon was winning the WWE title at the Elimination Chamber. Now, if you guys remember, in 2022, that was also the year of WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, Texas. This would also come to be the last WrestleMania that Vince McMahon was firmly in control. And during this time period, Ringside News had reported that Shane McMahon was going to be inserting himself into the title picture before WrestleMania 38, and that he was in line for a run at the title. This was reported by Ringside News. The Wrestling Observer also reported this, and their sources were sources close to creative, which we all know is just code for 100% pure bullshit. I mean, just the fact that I read that headline in of itself, that Shane McMahon was going to be winning the WWE title at Elimination Chamber. That headline in of itself is just completely ridiculous, especially when you think what would go on to happen to Shane McMahon the very next year. Now, if you guys remember, at WrestleMania 39 in LA, there was a segment with Miz and Snoop Dogg when Shane McMahon came out, and him and Miz kind of had a back and forth, to which Shane McMahon then got injured, to the point where myself, my fellow contributors on Ring Takes, we all said, Shane McMahon, stay the fuck out of the ring and don't ever fucking come back, please. For the love of God. I mean, we all love Shane McMahon in his prime. We all know Shane was never built to be a wrestler. And the fact that we saw him injured that way a year later goes to show that, like, Shane, please just stay away. Now, this is a year before that. And it's very intriguing because this is also the same year that Shane McMahon was in the Royal Rumble. If you guys remember, in the 2022 Men's Royal Rumble, Shane McMahon actually came back, and there were a couple of reports that backstage he was kind of throwing his weight around, that he set up a there were a couple of segments within the match that he kind of set up for himself, like him going after Kevin Owens again, going after a couple of guys, and it kind of went against the script. And I believe Shane McMahon the next day was asked to leave. Or I don't know if he was fired, so to say, but he was asked to leave. And I remember that specifically because I can remember, I think Nia Jax had either tweeted or had a comment on it, and she kind of had like the funny comment of, I thought if you were family that you were safe, because the running joke with Nia Jax was that the only reason why she still has a job with WWE at that time was because of the fact that she's a cousin, she's one of the Rock's distant cousins. So therefore, she's a part of the whole Samoan dynasty in the WWE. So this is hilarious, man. This is number 5, and realistically, it should be number 1. So, like I said, what actually happened was Shane showed up at the Royal Rumble, caused some chaos backstage, and then he was fired days later. So the reason why I have this on number 5 on the list is because reports like this show how chaotic creative was back then. Because think about it, this is 2022. This is Vince McMahon still being in charge. Like I said, it would end up being the last year he was in charge, and this is when creative was just literally all over the place and wasn't the best creative that we ever gotten. So it shows how chaotic creative was, and how necessarily plans don't necessarily equal truth, and how dirt sheets often don't clarify that. See, that's the number one thing. Plans don't equal truth. Like, you could be in they could be in a meeting right now and just throw a whole bunch of ideas, out there, and while those may sound like great ideas, that they won't necessarily use them based upon other circumstances. Like, I'm sure within creative meetings on the WWE side, there have been plenty of ideas and plans that have been set forth, and then maybe an injury happens, or somebody's schedule changes, and there's always so many moving parts within the WWE. So just because you hear of, the plan is to do this, that doesn't necessarily equal truth, because you don't understand the fucking circumstances. And that's the reason why some of these dirt sheet reporters majority of them always never get it fully right, because they hear a plan and they immediately mean, okay, this is exactly what they're going to do. Now realizing that there might be other circumstances. They may have decided that, this guy is hot, so let's go with him instead, or this guy is not as hot as we predicted him to be at this point, so therefore we're going to pivot and do it this way. So just because you hear that's the plan, you have to keep in fucking mind that there are other circumstances out there that may alter those plans. So the plans aren't always rooted in truth. And that's some of the thing that some of these dirt sheet writers need to understand before they put these reports out. So that's number 5. Number 4, and this is actually another funny one. And I actually remember reading this one at the time in 2021 about Eva Marie returning to manage Bray Wyatt. Now, keep in mind, this is 2021. This is WWE still within the pandemic period. And if you remember this storyline in 2021, if you remember, it was a storyline between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, or Randy Orton and the Fiend Bray Wyatt, when Randy Orton set Bray Wyatt on fire at the Elimination Chamber in that Firefly Inferno match. Which was it was a very unique match, being that it was in the Thunderdome during the pandemic, which was also very, very interesting. So, Cultaholic, Ringside News, even Reddit, some people posted on Reddit that this was indeed going to happen. So after the Fiend was burned alive by Randy Orton. WWE. So the report was that after that, WWE was going to reboot him with Eva Marie as a handler / manager in a dark new gimmick. Like I said, Cultaholic, Ringside News, Reddit, they all reported this garbage. And the reason why it's number 4 on the list right now is just that just read that again. That Eva Marie was returning as a darker character to manage Bray fucking Wyatt. Damn it! What kind of fucking report is that? Like, first of all, let's tell the truth about Eva Marie. Eva Marie was never going to pan out in WWE. I remember the old episodes of Total Divas when she was on. I remember other times when other times afterwards, years later, when she was on with Piper Niven as her manager, or Doudrop at the time. That was such a shitty fucking name. But anyway, Eva Marie never caught on with the WWE. They looked at her and they saw like she's another fitness model. She's beautiful. She's marketable. So we can do much with her. But when it came down to just the in-ring stuff, it just never clicked. And Eva Marie to me was never a really good character. Even during her last run when she had Piper Niven, she never really was a good character to me, and that's the reason why they never really did anything with her. I mean, they had plans, they had plans to do big things with her, but it never came to fruition. So when I see this report of her being a manager to manage Bray Wyatt and to be darker, I mean, she couldn't even pull off the gimmick that she had when she was. I don't even remember what her gimmick was, but it was pretty much that. It was pretty much a lesser version of what Blake Monroe, Mariah May is doing in NXT right now. It's pretty much a version of that. I remember that weeks before, there were like weeks where she was supposed to like debut in the ring, and then there was always something that would keep her from debuting. Like one week she had a wardrobe malfunction, another week it was something else, and they were telling this story, eventually building up to her eventually getting into the ring. I remember that. Then eventually when she does debut, like she said, she has the manager, then they broke them up real quick. So she never really hit her stride, and I never thought that she was a good character anyway. So just to think that she was going to be a darker character, opposite, to be with Bray Wyatt, that's just fucking ridiculous, and it's just dumb, because her best work is when she's that stuck up, similar again to Blake Monroe in NXT, that stuck up glamour character. That's what she would be good at. Now you expect me to believe. What? Let me correct myself. Actually, that stuck-up glamour character, she didn't even really pull that off. So now you expect me to believe that she was going to pull off being a dark character with Bray Wyatt, especially when you see how the Wyatt family. I mean, you see the Wyatt Six today with Bo Dallas, and you see Nikki Cross, who fits that to a T. Now if they wanted to say that Nikki Cross was going to be managing Bray Wyatt during that time, that would have made sense. Because the characters are similar as far as traits and actions go. But Eva Marie and Bray Wyatt, unless you were doing like a Beauty and the Beast type of shit, that shit wasn't gonna fucking work. And again, obnoxious, stupid, people ain't thinking. That was number 4. Number 3. This is gonna be another interesting one. WWE buying Ring of Honor in 2018-2019. Good old Ring of Honor. I remember this report during this time too. And what's always been intriguing about this is just the fact that Ring of Honor was created more so after the death of ECW. To have that, promotion that like the fans similar to ECW fans, that cult of fans who just want to see great in-ring wrestling on the underground level. Ring of Honor provided that. I mean, if you wanted to watch great wrestling, you would watch Ring of Honor. But the report was that in 2019, that Triple H really wanted WWE to purchase Ring of Honor, and Dave Meltzer had reported that the idea was that WWE would purchase Ring of Honor, shut Ring of Honor down, essentially just purchasing the tape library, which their tape library at that time had a lot of matches with a number of top WWE stars that were with the company at the time. You got the Daniel Bryans of the world, the Roger Strongs of the world. Samoa Joe was with WWE at this time in 2018 and 2019. So he's reporting that they wanted to purchase the content library to be used on WWE Network of WWE projects. And this ultimately didn't end up happening, because then 3 years later, Tony Khan ended up purchasing Ring of Honor. Here's my thing about this report. Now, I understand this is the one time where I'm not going to get on Meltzer. I'm gonna give him a week off, because I already know I'm going to be coming at his next week and the following weeks and the following weeks after that. But I'm going to give him cut him a little slack, because I can understand why WWE would want to buy Ring of Honor just to purchase the video library in of itself. Because think of all the documentaries and all of the specials and all of the pieces that you can put together with that video library. Or if you're doing a presentation, or if you're doing a video package for TV, think of and you're trying to tell the history of a few, and if the two guys used to perform a Ring of Honor, you can use that footage to enhance your video package. Definitely understand that. But NXT was flourishing during this time. You can honestly make the case that NXT was the number one brand in sports entertainment, not Raw, not SmackDown, but NXT, which was being run by Triple H. So that's why I'm trying to have a difficult time understanding that, like, why would they try to purchase Ring of Honor if NXT is already flourishing, right? And the crazy thing about it is that not only Meltzer, but PW Insider, Wrestling Inc., all of these people are speculating about it, thinking that they would just absorb the talent and purchase the tape libraries, make them. It's like, you already had NXT. NXT was flourishing during this time. So just to think that, okay, they're gonna buy the video library, and just absorb all the talent, when like NXT was already deep on talent during this time. And just that from a business standpoint, I can understand using the content library, but absorbing all of the Ring of Honor's talent, which I don't know who was with the promotion at the time, but I also know that NXT was the hottest brand in sports entertainment and professional wrestling during this time period of 2018 and 2019. So if they were to say that they would have just bought the video library, maybe, but I don't think that they were going to absorb the talent, because, like I said, NXT was deep at this time. So this particular story kind of exposed how even legitimate wrestling journalists are often fed intentions, not facts. Again, same thing with what we talked about with number 5 with Shane McMahon and Elimination Chamber. And we talked about how plans don't equal truth. Well, this report shows that there's a difference between intention and fact. Now, WWE very well could have had the intention of purchasing Ring of Honor, like the report says, for the content library. But we don't know what happened backstage. We don't know what happened backstage. We don't know how negotiations broke down. As far as we know, Ring of Honor may have not wanted to sell during that time, or maybe that they wanted Ring of Honor. Whoever was in the owner at the time probably wanted so much for it, and WWE was like, well, it's not worth that, so therefore we're not interested anymore. And then 3 years later, Tony Khan kind of bought it, and Ring of Honor is still It still exists. I'll say that much. It still exists being carried by their women's champion right now. So you can tell that Ring of Honor is not in a great place compared to the glory days. But again, there's a difference between intention and fact. Just because they intend to buy something and it makes sense does not necessarily mean that that's exactly what they're going to do. And that's what these dirt sheet reporters do. They hear indications of maybe a small amount of truth, or just because they intended on doing something, that means, oh, it's fact, they're going to do it. That's not always the fucking case, guys. Sorry. So that's number 3. Now let's move on to number 2. This motherfucker. This motherfucker right here. That motherfucker right there and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Oh my God. Like I said, I remember the first report of this back in 2017 during the build for WrestleMania 33, which ended up being in Orlando. They reported that there was a rumor that they were going to do Rock and Roman Reigns at that WrestleMania, but then they ended up doing Roman Reigns against The Undertaker. Then the following year, in 2018, which would be WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, they did the report. The Dirst Sheets were reporting Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and then we ended up getting Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in that very controversial WrestleMania main event. And then 2019, Roman again, which ended up being WrestleMania 35 at MetLife Stadium. I think Roman Reigns had just recovered from leukemia, and this was going to be his first match. Was going to be back at this event. They said it might be against The Rock. Ended up being against Drew McIntyre. And so year after year after year, they have been speculating that we're going to get Rock and Roman Reigns, Rock and Roman Reigns, Rock and Roman Reigns. We almost got it for WrestleMania 40, and thank fucking God we did not. You can go back and look at the archives of Ring Takes. Go back to the episode where we covered the WrestleMania post conference. We did not want Brock and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania 40 because we wanted Cody Rhodes to finish his story and become WWE champion. There was so much stock that was put into that story for WrestleMania 40. That's what we wanted to see. But Meltzer, Fightful Select, WrestleVotes, almost every major insider, year after year after year after year after year, will always predict that, Rock and Roman Reigns is going to happen at this WrestleMania. Oh, they're not doing it this year, so they're going to do it next year. Not doing it this year, not doing it next year. Oh, they're not going to do it 2020 because it's a pandemic mania, so we're going to do it next year. We're going to do it next year. Now, I will say that WWE, and obviously towards the build to WrestleMania 40, they did tease it heavily. Even so much to a point where you ask the question, hold on, wait a minute. What about Cody? And there was like I said, there was a half-baked promo segment with Cody Rhodes when he initially said that he was going to go after Seth Rollins instead of Roman Reigns, and then Rock came out, and they had you thinking that they were going to do Rock and Roman Reigns, and then the fans put their feet down and said, "Fuck that, we don't want that," and went on social media. Like I said, I'll never forget between that episode of Friday Night SmackDown where they made it clear that Rock and Roman Reigns was going to be at WrestleMania. From that episode towards Monday Night Raw, that time period was the longest amount of time ever for me personally, because there was so much complaining on social media. People spamming The Rock's Instagram page, spamming his Twitter page, saying, "Hey, we don't want you wrestling Roman Reigns. It should be Cody. We want Cody. Cody needs to finish his story." And like, thank God that they changed everything up, because what we ended up getting ended up being arguably one of the greatest WrestleMania main events ever. But anyway, the point is about this story. The reason why I have this one at number 2 is because this prediction was recycled year after year after year, with scheduling conflicts always being the reason why. And at one point in time, it became like a fucking meme on social media. It's like, it almost became like, it's WrestleMania season. Let's start with the Rock and Roman Reigns rumors. And to me, this report is an example of what Dirty reporters do at times. It's called lazy reporting. Let's go back to a formula. It's pretty much, to me, it comes off as there's nothing for us to report. So let's go back to it. Let's go back to a rumor that everybody may or may not believe. And let's just put it out there and just speculate on it. And people may or may not believe it. But yet year after year after year after year, it doesn't happen. Dirty reporters will do that shit. And certain fans will eat it up. There was a time period, like I said, this 7-year time period, everybody thought they were getting Rock and Roman Reigns, and everybody hoped and prayed for when we get Rock and Roman Reigns, Rock and Roman Reigns. Especially when Roman Reigns was in the midst of his heel run, being the undisputed champion for 4 years. Everybody was just asking, okay, the Rock's gonna have to be the one to dethrone him, or at least they have to do it at least once. But then after a while, when you didn't see Rock, it became repetitive. Like, realistically, after WrestleMania 35, when Roman came back from leukemia, that's when it should have been dropped. But either people wanted to see it so bad, or whatever the case may be, people just kept constantly bringing it up. And I guess the Dirt Sheet reporters went with that, and like I said, it became a meme. Rock versus Roman Reigns this year. Like, is it gonna happen? Is it not gonna happen? And to me, that's just lazy ass reporting. Like, you don't have anything to report, so then you decide, let's take something that has been reported upon, had something that's been recycled year after year, and let's put it out there this year, and let's see if the fans will believe it this time. And 9 out of 10 times, some of these fucking fans speculate on and say, "Oh, it's going to happen this year. It's going to happen this year." It's like the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Oh, you like Cowboys fans, we're going to win the Super Bowl, right? And what ends up happening every fucking year? Exactly. It's the same goddamn shit. Oh, man. And now we get to number 1. Good old CM Punk. And whether or not he was going to return at WrestleMania. First after he got let go in 2014, oh, he's going to be back for WrestleMania 30. Oh, no, he'll be back for WrestleMania 31 next year. 32, 33, 34. And, oh, my God. For those of y'all who were living under a rock during that time period, CM Punk left the WWE in January in 2014. More so, you can watch the Colt Cabana's podcast. I'm not sure if it's still up. I'm not sure if it's still up on YouTube from years ago. Seeing as that Punk and Colt Cabana have had a very bad falling out. I don't know if the episode is still on YouTube. You may be able to find it where Punk goes into detail on to why he left the WWE, and injuries played a huge role in it. He was hurt. It seemed as though they didn't care, they didn't care, and it's a very sad story of how he left and such. And just pull up my little thing here. So Wrestling Observer, Wrestling News, Reddit, PW Insider, they reported, again, similarly to Rock and Roman Reigns, CM Punk was every Mania season post 2014. CM Punk is coming back. CM Punk is coming back. Talks are ongoing. Or sources saying that he's back. Never ever fucking happened. And this one was very frustrating. It's because this report is notorious because, to me, it's pure fantasy packaged as leaks. Like, Punk was on bad terms with WWE especially during these years of WrestleMania. Like, he wanted no parts of it. I mean, he didn't even want to be in professional wrestling anymore. Like, during those few later years, he started doing mixed martial arts. He was in the UFC for a little bit. Like, his love for wrestling had dissipated. So, but again, the Dirt Sheet reporters, because he's such a popular name and he left and his exit was so explosive and so unexpected that it's almost like the Dirt Sheet reporter just wanted to keep his name in the news year after year, and they knew that people would just bite on it because it's CM fucking Punk. Pure fantasy package as leaks. These were no fucking leaks. There was never any interest. I mean, for God's sake, we didn't see CM Punk associated with WWE again until 2019, and that even wasn't even a WWE association. With that show on Fox, WWE Backstage, that was Fox paying them, they paying CM Punk. WWE didn't pay them. Fox did. So he was doing a WWE show, but like he had no connection with the WWE. That was just Fox who wanted somebody of his caliber on the show to help with ratings and such. And the weeks that he was on, those were some great episodes of WWE Backstage. I can remember tuning in. I remember his first episode at the very end. I think they were having them just cut random promos on people, and he kind of still showed that like he still has it as a promo guy. But yeah, during this time period, Punk was on bad terms with WWE. Neither party wanted to reconcile or negotiate anything. And like I said, Fox was paying him to do that show, not even WWE. This again, it's lazy. It's just lazy reporting. And there's, like I said, there's a certain group of fans who eat this shit up and think it's true, and they keep coming back year after year, report after report, hoping that this is the year that it'll get done, and it never did. Until CM Punk actually left AEW, and that there was that possibility out there. But in the years prior, before he even got hired by AEW, there was no chance in hell he was ever coming back to the WWE during that time. Like you said, he was still on bad terms. Vince McMahon was still in charge, and CM Punk wasn't for damn sure ever coming back to the WWE as long as Vince McMahon was in charge. That wasn't going to happen. That brings us to the end of our special episode of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets. Like I said, it's a very busy week in the world of professional wrestling. We got SummerSlam coming up this weekend, which is the second biggest event of the summer. The first two night SummerSlam. Definitely looking forward to that. We will be recording episode 115 of Ring Takes tomorrow, where we'll be making our predictions for SummerSlam. Stay tuned onto the Ring Takes pages on X, Instagram, TikTok. You can also follow me at It's B Judge for all Brian versus the Dirt Sheet content. And you can also follow the Soapbox Network on YouTube, which for all Ring Takes and Brian versus the Dirt Sheet content. So as always, to close the show, you see the fucking hat? That means it's my fucking show and I matter, motherfucker. Now I'm about to go smoke a blunt. I'm out. Peace.